It's, what is it, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, November 22nd, and it's been cold here. It's been, you know, as much as 22 degrees below average. Right now it's really nice, so I thought I'd get out and do a little bit of tackle crafting. What I have coming up, at some point I will get out on the Susquehanna River in cold water, and I think it already got down to 40 degrees, maybe even a little bit colder. And when it gets cold, I like little baits like this. Actually, years ago I developed the little tube with confidence baits, and that's still available through confidencebaits.net. You know, 2 1/8 inch tube, and with a 3 32nd ounce jig head, it works really well. But I'm going to be experimenting with these baits. This is the LarvaZ from Z-Man, and then this one's the Tiny TicklerZ. I actually picked these up at Dugout Bait and Tackle, and I think I have some of the Z-Man jig heads that pair up with these nicely. But I wanted a, hi kitty, I wanted a weedless version of it. So I got this mold, this Do It mold. It takes an FG9. I'm going to close this and show you. This is weedless jig mold model RVB-6-1632F. Pardon the bird poop on there. My molds live in the dairy, where we have martins that live there all summer, and they poop on everything. But it has, what do we got? 32nd ounce head and 16th ounce head. I've already modified this to do some other things. That's a modified one that took the victory hook that I use for the Midwestern finesse. But you can see, and I'm getting ready to go pour these with the FG9, which I think is one of the smaller ones. It might be the smallest one they offer. Got that one at Lure Parts Online, and I have an owner 53, I think it's a 5318 or 5418 real fine wire hook that's in there. I'm also going to pour a couple with the victory hook. This one, it's a little bit more budget friendly than the owners, and they work nicely as well. It's got a little bit different head, or different angle to the, you'll see. I'm gonna compare the two. I think this is gonna hold fish real well. I just haven't had much of a chance to test these. These are both size 2, and let me backlight that on my white skin. You can see the one towards the center of the screen is that is the victory hook, and I think that's gonna hold them really good. The owner, I know it's good. It's sticky, but I'm gonna get out there, mold it, put some of these larvas, some of these tiny ticklers on there, and we're gonna dunk them here in this glass of water, see what they look like. It's a LazTech, so it's gonna float up and it's gonna have really good action. One thing I will tell you is I will need to not powder paint these. I got Onyx black nail polish to paint them. It's not a lot of weight to these, so they're not gonna need, you know, a really strong bond on that paint, and just brushing on a little bit of the nail polish, man, that stinks even out here in this well-ventilated area, is the way to go, because I've tried it with jigs out of this mold. You destroy the FG9. This, even with the, you know, the protecting sleeve over that gets destroyed. So I'm gonna pour them directly onto it. I'll come back here, show you what I come up with at the end. So It's a difficult pour because it's such a small cavity. Using a little bit of this fluxing compound to make sure that your lead is really clean is a good idea. So I'm gonna get a couple pinches of this in there and just swirl that around. And I got a old can here, probably canned tomato can, that I can skim some of the impurities off once I swirl this around. That's really just going to keep the lead pure and make sure that it flows really good. The other thing I make sure that I do is, besides using the flux, I take a spinnerbait wire and I jam it up in there, which heats this up, and I take a candle, touch it to it. That coats this wax, which is a flux, in there, and it gets it into the pour spout up in there, and that gets it flowing really good. What else do? I heat the mold. I'm gonna put that down. And it's not, I don't think it's quite ready. Yeah, it's not pouring yet, but I'll fill all these cavities 2, maybe 3 times to make sure that this is hot, hot, hot to the touch. Other people do this trick where they preheat it, but I think it's more effective. It's just quicker to just pour a bunch of blanks in there. And then you get the added benefit of knowing, hey, is it filling these little cavities? So I'm going to be doing some 1/32 ounce and the 16th. Now this one I modified to be a weird looking football head. This one has its own purpose, and I just used this mold to create that. Looks like I'm starting to drip. So let me get started. This particular mold is a RCBS Pro Melt 800 watt, and it is old, and I tell you, it was the production pot when I was part of Confidence Baits. So this sucker doesn't owe me anything. It's done a lot of work. All right, no. Fill this another time. I've already done it twice. This is the 3rd fill, and we'll see. Here, still dripping. I might do it one more time, but we're gonna open this up and see that, yep, we're filling that cavity pretty good without the without the hooks in there. It gets harder when the hooks are in the way, but we'll just keep throwing that back in there, heat it one more time, and then I think we're good to go. If you're a tackle crafter, if you're already doing this and you're like, Jeff, I can't believe you don't know this trick. It's going to make your life so much easier. I've done this 13 years, and I've done a lot of production pouring, a lot. If you got a tip, add it in the comments. How do you deal with that? I mean, this is how I deal with it, and it's on an old pot. It's still a challenge, but I'm happy because that's pouring a pretty fast, steady stream. So I put the bristle guard in there. Sometimes I want to go in at an angle, which keeps that bristle guard in place. We'll see how we did. All right, that first one looks pretty good. The collar is on there. Looks pretty good. This one's what, the 16th ounce? I didn't get the full barb on that collar. I don't really need it. I'm gonna probably make sure that these larvas are set on there with a little bit of crazy glue. Also let me turn that flat. Yeah, that cooled pretty quick. If you wanted to get a little bit more purchase on the collar, like if you were tying a hair jig to this, you can just take your, whatever you do to cut the sprue and just sort of, I got these are actually heavy duty stainless steel toenail clippers. They do a good job, but you just put little notches in it, and that provides something that the thread, as you wrap it, can get on there. It also gives you a little bit more surface area for just for the plastic to go on there with the crazy glue. So that's looking pretty good. We'll paint these with the nail polish here in a minute. I got to pour a bunch more of these, but I'm pretty happy with how that first one went. Let's see if I can keep it going. So I got this loaded up. The lighter ones are on the right. There's 3 of them that are, what, 32nd ounce? Is that what they are? And then these are 16th ounce, I think. What's that say? Yeah, 32nd ounce on the inside and 16th ounce. So these are really small cavities, and it doesn't give you, let's take a look at where that bristle guard lays in there. Doesn't give you a whole lot of purchase on that FG9. You're gonna have some that'll, as soon as you demold them, that bristle guard will pop right off. That's actually the one I customized and made into a stand-up football head type thing. This one is bored out on the sides to be a football head. That one right in the middle there, that one's deep. That one's not the same as this. This is the only 16th ounce one that's as I found it. So, but you gotta play with these FG9s to get them as deep as you can, where you lay the hook. If anyone has a trick, love to hear it. I'm putting my faith in the fact that when I pour these, that I'm gonna put some nail polish on there that's black, and that's gonna help it grab a little bit more. But just expect, some of these are gonna pop loose. It's just part of the deal. That's why you get a whole bunch of hooks and a whole bunch of bristle guards, and hopefully you get enough that are usable, and I think they're gonna be really useful, the ones that turn out good. This one's hard to pull apart because I've done so much custom work, but man, these look good. Those are the hard ones to do, the lighter one. I honestly think though that's going to be my workhorse. We'll see. In case you were wondering about that weirdly shaped one, this is what it looks like. We'll look at it outside on the picnic table, but I made this one for the Z-Man bat wings and to tie a skirt on that collar. This fiber guard is a little bit light for that application, but I just wanted to pour one to show you what that was. And then let's see, this is the one, and you can do this, that I bored out to be a football head. So I took that round head. You can see that it's not really that perfect of a football head. It's just because that's what I could get done with my Dremel. But it's the same diameter that way. You turn it sideways. That's actually going to be a really good one to use. I think I'm gonna pour a bunch of these. All right, got a nice pile of these little tiny jigs. That one's already trimmed up. Looks good. So the next step is to get the nail polish on there. I should really get some newspaper down, but you know, it's just getting color on there, and it's getting something that's going to harden up and firm up around where that bristle guard is I'm going to tell you, lightly connected. It's, you know, it's something that if I pull on this a little bit, it'll come out, and the nail polish just firms up that connection. Hopefully, because this is a little football head, I mean, the mold is a round head, right? And I took the Dremel and I mashed down in each half of the round head, and it elongated it and turned it into the football head. I got a bunch of round ones in there. I got that one weirdo stand-up one that I make my finesse jig, weedless finesse jigs with. Man, I got too much nail polish on this on the first shot. I'll probably do multiple coats, but that one's done. This one's gonna go right to the bottom and stay on the bottom, right? So is the football that I just had. You know, those are gonna be the ones that I mean to fish the bait on the bottom. And you may be asking, don't you fish all of them on the bottom? No, I don't. There's application for these super light ones to have the larvas. You stick that under a bobber. It's float and fly. It's really what it is. And if you look at the, you know, mostly stonefly hatch in the winter, you'll see bugs like this, just kind of middle of the water column, just kind of doing this motion. Tell me that the 64th or 32nd ounce little light one painted black with this underneath it isn't going to be just hanging in their face going, eat me, I'm a little morsel, you want it, you're going to eat it. Even if you're not fishing it under a bobber, if you have a light action rod and you can cast this any distance, there is something to, and I learned this with hair jig, with really 16th ounce hair jig and a little bit of current, like the current that's on the side of the river. Current's going this way, but you have an eddy here that's kind of pretty still, but it has some currents, and you throw a hair jig, a light one, it never gets to the bottom, and that's okay, because all it's doing is it's with the current and your rod tip's still, it's just kind of gliding through, and then it catches the current a little bit and it lifts. That motion, they eat it. They eat it. It's slow rate of fall, yes, but it's also understanding that it's a jig that doesn't have to get to the bottom and have that hard, firm connection on the bottom so you can feel the bite. Forget it. That's what the fine wire hook's about. And you know, these light ones for sure have application. Float and fly, just kind of drifting out there in the current, you know, they're going to be good for that. All right, let me paint up a few more of these and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, for sure that will look good under a bobber. Let's go ahead and drop it in there. And the LarvaZ is not enough to get it to do what a LarvaZ usually does. So I think the thing to do, what's the thing to do? I think I'm going to take a couple of these and get rid of the collar. I think the collar is dragging it down, and then it can just ride real flush to that head, and it's not going to weigh much of anything, but it'll hold the it'll hold that bristle guard, or it should, once I get this one painted. But yeah, I'm happy with what I've made, and I'll find out soon enough if the smallmouth are too. Let's try the Tiny TicklerZ on the latest one with the collar removed. So that's standing up, and I think a lot of people might be thinking, if you've never fished with something that small, why do you need to go that small? Well, it really has to do with cold water, smallmouth. They just nip at things, and I learned this by fishing a 3.5 or 3.25 inch tube, where you got the tentacles here and you got the rest of the body that ends here. They'd grab the tentacles, I'd feel that, set the hook, and I'd just get a little cigar nub back. They would have missed the hook, and I said, I gotta go smaller and smaller. Once I did, I made the little tube, lights out. So if you don't believe it, I don't know, you gotta rig some of these up, give them a shot. That smaller profile for Winter River smallmouth really does it. I'm excited to try these. See ya.